aware about the types of data. Types of data. You see, dear students, we have basically got two types of data. One is primary and other is secondary. Fine. So from collection point of view, data is of two types: primary data and secondary data. When we say primary data means, you can say in a way, primary data are original data. Why we say original data? Because which are collected by the investigator himself. That means I have been assigned a job to collect data pertaining to certain things in the market or in a district. I'll go myself and collect the data. It will be primary data collected for the first time. While secondary data means data which are already collected. Okay, or you can say which investigator obtains from someone else. Fine. So it is obtained from someone else. How we can understand these very two small definitions are pertaining to primary data and secondary data? We'll do one thing. We will take the most important thing regarding primary and secondary data, that is the difference between the primary data and secondary data, by the virtue of which we will be able to answer at least up to 6 marker if being asked about either primary or secondary or in combination. In differences, we will get to know meaning, definition, and each and every aspect of primary and secondary data. So without losing the time, let us take up this very chart. You can see on the screen that I have divided the primary and secondary data on 16 bases, while you would require just most important 6 out of these to answer a 6 marker question. You do not require to give more. But in order to understand, say you are being asked a question regarding primary data or secondary data. Say you are being asked just about primary data and it's a 6 marker question. Then at that very moment, I think these all pointers all together will help you. This is your primary data. Okay. And if you are being asked about the secondary data, these are your points for the secondary data. So that means you will be able to answer those very questions. And this is the importance of this chart, that it is going to differentiate as well your data, primary and secondary. When we talk of primary data, we first will, and secondary data, we first will divide it on the basis of meaning. What does it mean? Okay, what does it mean? Data collected by a researcher or investigator himself, as I was saying, and data collected by other person. It is already collected. That is why it is it is also called second-hand data. On the basis of originality, it is obvious that primary data will be original as well as unique information, while on the basis of the originality, we are not sure how much originality is in the secondary data. So it is not original or unique information. On the basis of adjustment, for your primary data, you have collected it yourself for a particular piece of inquiry. So it does not need any adjustment. It is focused in a way. but secondary data has been collected for something else and you are using it for your survey, so it would require certain adjustments to suit actual aim. The sources of primary, on the basis of sources, if we talk about here, point number 4, on the basis of sources, surveys, observations, and experiments. It is what an investigator or researcher do himself. So here the sources are certain records, maybe internal records, government records, published data, or maybe unpublished data as well sometimes. I'll come to it, what is published and unpublished data. Data could be qualitative data and quantitative data. On the basis of type of data, primary data is qualitative data, while secondary data will term as only quantitative data because you cannot rely on the quality of that data. Method is, on the basis of method, 6th point, observation, experiment, and interview. Here it is desk research method. That means you are sitting at your home, opening your computer or PC and asking Google Maharaj about the things. So it could be a desk research method, or it could be searching online, etc. On the basis of reliability, primary data is more reliable while secondary data is less reliable. And on the basis of time consumed, it is obvious you are doing everything yourself, so primary data will be more time consuming while secondary data will be less time consuming because the time has been given to its collection by somebody else. On the basis of needs of investigation, needs team of trained investigators, they must be statisticians in the original way. It does not need a team of investigators. You just have to know what is your purpose and you will get data accordingly from different sources. This is primary data is costly where secondary data is economical. That means it is not costly. Primary data from collection point of view is collected when secondary data is inadequate. If you can work with the secondary data, you will not collect primary data, but when secondary data is inadequate to answer any field of inquiry, you will collect it. And while it is collected, while secondary data is collected when before primary data is collected. Okay. Capability, primary data is more capable to solve the problems while secondary data is less capable. Biasness, it is obvious. Stability, suitability, most suitable to achieve objectives, while this may not be that much suitable to achieve your objective. In primary data, personal biasness will come. It is obvious to exist there. While in secondary data, you don't have any personal biasness. It has been collected by someone else. We don't know whether he has been biased or he has been truthful. Collected by the researchers or his agents, primary data, while secondary data is collected by the persons other than who collects primary data. Precautions, primary data, you do not need to take any precautions because you are collecting yourself. You are responsible enough for what you have collected. Here in secondary data, you will have to take care of a lot of things, then only you can use it. So it completes a very big thing of ours, a very large thing of ours in respect of primary and secondary data. While we were talking about the primary and secondary data, what one more thing evolved was about the methods we employ. Methods we employ in collecting the primary data. Maybe sometimes we employ a few methods to collect the secondary data as well, but most important we have to know here is what are the methods we employ to collect primary data, because primary data is original, it does not need any adjustment and all, you just got to know. So while we are talking about the primary and secondary data, my dear students, let us know about what are different methods of collecting this primary data. You see, it is obvious when primary data is being collected, you are going to someone yourself. You are collecting the data yourself. So how can we deal with it? How can we talk